Hi everyone, Anthony Live Tano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it is time for a review of the new Jessie Ware album, What's Your Pleasure? This is the fourth full-length LP from UK pop singer and songwriter Jessie Ware.
I don't know.
You don't know what?
Where Jessie? I don't know. She in here? She over there? Can't tell you.
It has been a while since I have spoken formally about Jessie Ware's music. I think the last time I reviewed one of her albums was with her debut record in 2012. Still, I can remember her bursting onto the scene in the early 2010s with some celebrated appearances on that Subtract record, and then from there being talked about as if she's going to become this thinking man's pop savior over the next decade. Then only to drop one album after another of middling R&B, pop soul, and sophisti-pop. Not to say that Jessie has no worthwhile music, Alone, Selfish Love, Wildest Moments, like she has tracks. But seriously, I was about to hit a point where if I heard another bland album, I don't know if I would continue to be curious about whatever you're doing on your next project. However, as the teasers for What's Your Pleasure began to drop, I was pleasantly surprised. These tracks were presenting a total change in sound and style. Sort of. Modern pop, soul, and R&B very clearly still holds a place in Jessie Ware's heart, but with this new LP she seems to be dialing the clock back a little bit for a more nostalgic effort here, where she is immersing listeners in the classic sounds of disco, boogie, electro, freestyle, house, synth pop, and synth funk too, covering as many old school dance pop forms as she possibly can in these 12 tracks and sounding great doing it with lavish production, sparkling and stunning songwriting, impassioned and soulful singing, and the track list on this thing is hit after hit after hit after hit. It has been sort of odd thinking this is the same Jessie Ware I've been aware of for almost a decade, because this is such a change in just my enjoyment level here. It's like this is the sound and this is the vibe she should have been putting out all along. Seriously, I'm just impressed with so much about this album, from the intro track Spotlight, the dramatic lead vocals, the very elegant strings. All of it is theatrical as hell, sounding like something straight out of a tear-jerker musical. Then instantly everything transitions into a steady body rocking disco groove. But even though this change happens, the song is still plenty dramatic, with Jessie's gorgeous vocal harmonies soaring in tandem with strings over these tight drums. It's funky, it's extravagant, it's inspiring. The grooves, the nostalgic production, the sticky songwriting all continues onto the next track too, which is a sleek new disco number with lots of quirky synthesizer leads. Breathy lead vocals as well, a great hi-hat too playing off that kick drum. The vibe of this track is almost mystical. I also love the blatantly sexual poetry without getting too, I guess, raunchy. Not that raunchy is wrong or a bad thing, but yeah, the record's a bit of a tease. The following track, Ooh La La, takes things in a very funny synth funk direction. There are some amazing campy tongue-in-cheek vocals on this track too. The song sounds like a combination of a sleek, danceable post-punk number and a classic Prince girl group single. The lyrics on the track are fun as hell, and the instrumental is just nostalgic ear candy through and through, so creative and so colorful as well. Some amazing waves of vocal harmonies, synth embellishments, freaky guitar ad-libs, and some funky cowbell. The power of dance music is on display here. The next track, Soul Control, one of my favorites here, kicks off with these playful, rigid synth sequences that are just classic as hell. There is a real vintage synth pop flair to them. I love the extent to which Jessie and her key producers, they just pull out all the stops here and create something that, yes, it is nostalgic, but it's far from stale, it's far from dusty, it still sounds colorful, youthful, fun, sexy. You could say the overall prerogative of the record is clear in that it definitely wants you to dance, it definitely wants you to fuck. But God, does it sound like it's putting a whole lot of effort and a whole lot of detail into creating those sensations, creating those feelings. Because for sure, there is a lot of crappy pop music out there that I think skates by creatively merely on the fact that it is appealing to some kind of primal urge, which in theory is fine, but this record does that. It elicits those feelings, but also it is wonderfully put together, masterfully executed, well written. Then there is Save a Kiss. I love this track's nod to old school house anthems, with its driving beats and sequenced throbbing synthesizers and grand shows of lead vocals. A beast of a hook that calls back to those classic house singles of the 80s and 90s. The theatrical vibes on this record return with the track In Your Eyes. We have more sturdy drums and synth bass topped with extravagant vocals and strings. The soul influences on this track, the disco, the electronics, they make such a heavenly combo. But then, I think there's something especially cinematic about the vocals on this track, specifically when Jessie hits that falsetto on the hook and is really kind of pulling back. It feels like that, and the very evocative lyrics remind me of, I don't know, a 007 theme song or something, but turned into a disco number. The track Step Into My Life presents more super slick, blissful disco music that I am just not getting sick of at this point for some reason. The intro beat, that cute little 4-note bass line, the rush of vocal harmonies on the pre-chorus, and then that syncopated, breathy, whispered little vocal line on the hook that, now's the time to step into my life, and the little horn break that comes after, damn! Then there is Read My Lips, which is essentially more upfront, bold, very energetic synth funk. I like the vibe, I like the groove, but this, in my opinion, is one of the more uninspired synth riffs of the entire record. Could have been better. The subtle, effective, and nuanced builds return, though, on the song Mirage, which is another house-inspired number with more breathy lead vocals, a very cool start that eventually progresses to something a lot bigger with these grand group vocal refrains of "Don't stop moving together, don't stop moving together." Then with the track The Kill, finally a ballad on this thing. A real ass ballad. I mean, there's still a dance groove and everything behind it, but it's a tune. A lot like with In Your Eyes, there is a cinematic quality to it as well. Some of the soaring and effervescent vocal harmonies on the track too remind me of something off of an ABBA song, but still the track is very low key, so that influence might not hit you in a very apparent way. Then with Remember Where You Are, I cannot believe this thing has a bitching closer too. Once more, it's a stunning, groovy, soulful number with these amazingly huge, larger-than-life group vocals. It is an epic, grand disco finale, surprisingly sentimental and nostalgic lyrics as well on this track. Remember where you are. I feel like I'm listening to a dance pop fairy tale, like the very ending of it and the credits are rolling and everything. Yeah, I don't have a whole lot of complaints about this record. I think it's great. I really enjoyed the hell out of it. Sure, it's not the most original thing in the world. There were a few tracks that I was not super crazy about, specifically the song Adore You. I didn't care for how low-key this track was. Not that there aren't other low-key songs on this record. There are, but the ideas and sounds on this one felt so faint they kind of got lost in the hazy production. Plus the fizzled ending didn't really help it out either. But still, this track being one of my least favorites here, even this one is not all that bad. Having said that, this is still Jessie Ware's best written, performed, and produced record by 100 or 200 miles, especially when you're talking about albums that have a vintage flair, such as this one. Feeling a strong 8 to a light 9 on this record. Transition, have you given this album a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best, you're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like if you like. Please subscribe and please don't cry. Hit the bell as well. Over here next to my head is another video that you can check out. Hit that up or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, Jessie Ware, what's your pleasure forever?